Welcome back to Big Time Fantasy Football with Nick and Zach. That was a bar. Stay tuned because more of that came from. There's not. There'll be no more rhymes, but we do have a great video for you today. And today we are getting into our top Dynasty assets. Basically what we mean by that is we took all the positions, quarterback, running back, receiver, tight end, as well as we have a pick in here, a couple picks, and valued them as an asset in Dynasty, and we ranked them, put them in tiers. But before that, don't forget to like and subscribe. New growing channel. We're going to be big time, and you guys are going to help take us there. We never really set a like goal before, but let's shoot for 6 this time. Nick, that sound good? Could we do 6 likes, maybe?
Doable. Sounds doable.
Guys. Let's go for 6 likes. Yeah, that should be all that we have pre here. So, Nick, you want to start us off?
Yeah. Getting into our top tier, some of the best Dynasty assets you can have. It's going to be Josh Allen and Patrick Mahomes, two QB studs. They've been around for so long in the league. They're consistently ranking in the top 5 in fantasy. I know Mahomes had a little bit of a down year, but both these guys are going to give you that elite top-end production year in and year out. Josh Allen, as the number 1 guy, he has more of a rushing upside, provides those rushing touchdowns as well as yards. He did lose his top 2 receivers this past year. They picked up rookie Keon Coleman and I think Curtis Samuel to fill a little bit of that go-to guy role. But he's elite. He has excellent arm talent. I don't think there's a question that he is the number 1 Dynasty asset right now. And then we also have Patrick Mahomes, a guy that probably is going to be the next GOAT when it's all said and done. But they gave him a new weapon this year in Xavier Worthy. They have Hollywood Brown as well. Rashee Rice, we'll see what happens with him, but he's still sticking around. And Travis Kelce, year older, still going to be an elite guy. So I do like both these offenses this year. Top 2 Dynasty assets. What do you think, Zach?
Yeah. I know some people have Mahomes over Allen just because I think maybe they see as a real-life talent. He might be a little better. But for Dynasty assets, like you said, with the rushing upside that you get from Josh Allen, I think he's more wide receiver and pass catcher proof to where he's going to get his points regardless. Someone's going to catch the ball, and if not, he's still going to get his rushing yards. So that's how we feel about Allen number 1, Mahomes number 2. I don't think you can argue the top 2 guys, maybe the order, but I think Allen has the edge here. But we'll hop into our second tier here. At the top of it, we had C.J. Stroud, a guy that, almost pushing that top tier, just being the next most valuable quarterback. He just doesn't run as much of either of those guys. Mahomes isn't a runner, but even Mahomes will run more than Stroud for sure. But still an amazing guy, only in his second year. He should only grow from here. So a guy that we want at this top. And then we had our top receiver. We kind of had, if we wanted CD or JJ, those are going to be our next 2 guys. We have CD Lamb and then Justin Jefferson. Mostly just because CD is going to be tied with Dak Prescott. He's already been in a proven offense with that. And then Justin Jefferson, probably the best receiver in the league, but has more questions around his offense and specifically his quarterback. So that's why we went with
that. Yep. No confusion. The CD Lamb over Justin Jefferson, I think, too. CD, there really isn't another target in that offense that has been proven. It's pretty much his offense, and we saw that second half of the year. Last year, he really came onto the scene and was putting up crazy numbers. And then Justin Jefferson, with the question at quarterback, we'll see if either Sam Darnold or J.J. McCarthy pan out, but he's still an elite guy. He has the elite raw talent, and he just needs to be throwing the ball, which I think will happen. Continuing in this tier, we finish it off with Jamar Chase, another receiver who's been in this top 3 grouping pretty much since they've all been in the league. And then finish it off with Lamar Jackson. Jamar Chase, Joe Burrow should be coming back healthy. That offense should pick up right where it left off when he went out. So I see Jamar Chase returning as a top talent again. And then Lamar Jackson, I think you said earlier that he is getting even more trust from coaching staff and giving him more pre-snap freedom. so that way he can get into plays he likes. Obviously, the rushing talent has always been there, will continue to be there, and we've seen already in his MVP season that he can do it in the air too. And he really hasn't lost any weapons. He has Mark Andrews, solid tight end. Zay Flowers is still there. Yeah, I don't see Lamar going anywhere anytime soon.
Yeah, Lamar, great talent. I did read a thing on Sleeper, gave me a notification just saying that Lamar's got more pre-snap responsibilities. Um, Probably not going to make a night and day difference but any little added possible value there is good for a top tier guy like that. So Lamar, one of the most fun guys to watch, and at the bottom of our second tier here. Next grouping of guys, we're going to go with Jalen Hurts, and then Amon-Ra St. Brown, Bijan Robinson, and Marvin Harrison. That is our next tier here. So Hurts, another mobile quarterback, going to get you points there. Not, in his latter years of his career yet, so you're going to have him for a while. Amon-Ra St. Brown has been a stud, overperformed since the second that he stepped into the league. He's tied with the great offense. They have Jared Goff, so he's going to have consistency with his quarterback, a guy that's been feeding him, so there's no reason to believe that something different should happen going forward. Bijan Robinson, and then Marvin Harrison. A lot of people I saw did have Marvin Harrison higher than Bijan, maybe even up there with St. Brown or higher than St. Brown. But Bijan, we gave the nod to just because he's going to be the number one asset right now as far as running backs go. So even just to have that or to have that as a trade piece or anything like that, it's just a great asset to have. But Marvin Harrison, the talent that he is, the prospect that he is, still 100% belongs in this tier here. So we put him at the bottom there.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think going back to Hurts, he has been elite, and towards the back end of the year, I think it popped up some questions because the offense did end up struggling. But they do have a new offensive coordinator. I believe it's Kellen Moore. And when he was with the Cowboys, his offense was humming in the past game.
In the regular season, anyways.
Regular season. But anyways, Kellen Moore did take a step back last year when he went to the Chargers. Didn't look amazing, but this year I think it will be much better, more consistent offense for Jalen Hurts. He will continue to put up rushing touchdowns, all that good stuff. And then Amon-Ra, very consistent. Bijan, when you have an RB talent like that, that kind of will separate himself from the rest of the pack, you got to put him up here in this higher tier. And then Marv, the talent that he is, he's probably one of our most questionable. Like, we haven't seen anything just yet. So that's why we put him here at the back end of this tier. But getting into our next tier, we started off with Anthony Richardson, Caleb Williams, and Joe Burrow. 3 quarterbacks that are all very talented. Anthony Richardson, we'll see if he can stay healthy. I know he had an issue last year with concussions, going out with injury. Ultimately having the shoulder injury that ended his season early. Caleb Williams, one of the best quarterback prospects we've seen in a long time coming in the league. Great offensive weapons on the Bears with that receiving core. And then Joe Burrow, we've seen it before. He's been a stud. Let's just see if he can stay upright and stay healthy, kind of cut down on the sacks a little bit.
Yeah, for sure. Then we ended with Gibbs and Herbert, but just to touch on Anthony Richardson real quick, guy that I love watching. I watched a lot of Colts games last year, actually. I just had a lot of Colts stocks, but he's kind of the biggest question mark out of almost anyone in fantasy football for me, just because if he plays, he's going to have a great top tier quarterback season. But if he's going to be banged up like he was last season, then obviously you're getting nothing from him. So Anthony Richardson, a guy I do like, but will just remain as PC. I've avoided him in both Dynasty and redraft just because of the question marks. I know you have done the exact opposite of that, but yeah, no, exciting guy to watch. But going into the Gibbs and Herbert here, Gibbs, the next running back for us. I know some people have Brees higher than him. I like Gibbs just, again, with the great offense, great proven offense already. Jets project to take a step forward, but that's, I think proven is better than projections for sure. So Gibbs, we got there. He can do it all. He's getting more touches as he went in the red zone. So I think his value increased at the end of this end of last year and should continue to increase in this year. Herbert, guy some people are down on, but I think he's still an amazing, talented quarterback. They're kind of changing things over there in the Chargers land, so let's see if that can jumpstart him back, get him right. I know they're probably going to go a little run heavy, but still, you can be a valuable quarterback in a run first offense still. So hopefully Herbert can bounce back and do that. And then at the next tier, top of it, guy I mentioned, Brees Hall. Still, yeah, like I said, projects to be a better offense, and he was still running back 3 last year, I believe, 3 or 4. But great talent. He did have the ACL, but he bounced back from that injury and not really showing signs of that. So hopefully he can stay healthy and continue to ball out.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, we both like Brees. I know we put Gibbs over him, but hopefully Aaron Rodgers, like if we could go in a time machine last year, all the hype that was for the Jets and everything, it kind of calmed down this year. But
Yeah.
I think the hype last year was warranted if Aaron Rodgers was to have stayed healthy. So excited about that. Next we got Jordan Love, Puka Nacua, and Garrett Wilson. Jordan Love, he showed us a lot last year in his first year as the starter. Even with younger receivers, Jaden Reed, Christian Watson couldn't really stay healthy, but there was like 2 other receivers. There was Romeo Dobbs, Dontavian Wicks, and Bo Melton stepped up as well. And I think he had a really good handle on the offense for the Packers and, led them in the playoffs. Had a pretty good performance throughout the playoffs. So I think he'll keep that rolling this year. And then Puka Nacua, obviously one of the best rookie wide receiver seasons we've seen. We'll see if Cooper Kupp has a little bit of a bounce back this year, but I don't think Matthew Stafford's going to lose too much. He's very proven. He can get the receivers the ball, especially someone like Puka. And there are a lot of reports saying that he looks really good this offseason. He's worked on his body and getting healthy, and that should help him a lot going into this season. And then Garrett Wilson, kind of the same argument for Brees. This offense should take a step forward. Another guy with all the talent, but if he can't get the ball, then he won't take a step up. And I think this is really a prove-it year for him. If Aaron Rodgers stays healthy and plays well, like if he doesn't do well with a good quarterback, he's definitely going to drop very far down rankings as far as next year goes.
Yeah, definitely with Puka. He's the guy that, like you said, he's tied with Matthew Stafford. I don't think Matthew Stafford's due for a huge step back. He's an older guy, but he still is looking pretty good for his age. So not something too worried about there. Kupp might take a little more volume this year. He did have his injury problems. He could bounce back, but I still think Puka's still going to be the main guy and the main point winner there. And Wilson, also great points. Just he's a guy that always has consistently been going higher than he's performed just because you see the talent, it's there, But last year he's supposed to be paired with Aaron Rodgers. Didn't get a chance to do that more than, 2 snaps. So, someone that definitely could take a step forward, but another guy that we just have to project because we haven't really seen it yet. And then to get started with the next tier, we have a shorter tier here. We got CMC, Chris McCaffrey, T-Law, and then Kyler Murray. So 3 guys there. Chris McCaffrey, very specific he's not a go get him no matter what. He's a go get him if you want to win. Still a stud. He is at that age where quarterbacks fall off a cliff historically. I think he still has at least one more really good year in him. So I think he'll ball out this next season. And then T-Law, someone that I am and maybe you are too, a little higher on than most people. Last year he was the quarterback 13. He missed his first game ever basically since maybe, I don't know, he didn't miss any in high school, so maybe he missed in middle school. Maybe it's the first game he's ever missed. Who knows? But he's consistent. He's revamping that offense. He had a lot of drops last year, which brought him down. So, and then we got Kyler Murray as well. Another year departed from that ACL. That'll help him. He still had the mobility last year. He got a stud wide receiver number 1 that we talked about earlier. So I think he's due for another step forward from last year as well.
Yeah, definitely. And CMC, obviously he's getting older, but he's pretty much the consensus 101 in redraft leagues this year. He's gonna ball out. We've seen it even with all the weapons there. If the Niners end up trading either Ayuk or Debo this year, that will give him even more opportunity, more volume. And then I like what you said about both the quarterbacks. T-Law should have a bounce back this year. Same with Kyler. Both got new weapons. Obviously, Kyler got Marvin Harrison, the better half of the weapons, but both offenses should be a lot better this year, should take a step forward. And we've seen both of these players, T-Law more in college than in the pros, but we've seen both of them be elite. So hopefully they can get back to doing that. And then if they do, these guys are easy candidates to jump up this list and up these tiers. Getting into the next tier, we have AJ Brown, Sam Laporta, Jaden Daniels, and Malik Neighbors. So AJ Brown, a guy that has done super well over his career. He's been that alpha, and he's huge. He's a man. He's really that go-to receiver. I know they do have Devontae Smith there. Didn't look good in the back half of last year, but I do expect that to change and them to get more consistent as an offense, and him to retain that wide receiver one role this year. Getting into Sam Laporta, had a great showing his rookie year on an excellent offense. The Lions as a whole took a step forward, and I think they're going to maintain that throughout this year and be even hungrier to win. And I think Sam Laporta is going to be a major part of that. Definitely the tight end one in Dynasty overall. Just how good he was his rookie year, and we don't expect it to slow down. How can you not put him as the tight end one overall? And then getting into the two rookies that we both really like. We've talked about it all throughout the draft process. Jaden Daniels, Malik Neighbors. They popped off last year at LSU as teammates, and now Jaden Daniels going into a situation in Washington. They haven't really had a great quarterback, but last year I know they had huge passing volume. I think it was like one of the most pass attempts in the whole league last year. And pretty good receiving core there as well. Got Terry McLaurin, who has always been talented, just hasn't had great quarterback play. And then Jahan Dotson. They do have a rookie tight end as well, Ben Sinnott. We'll see if he can come on the scene, help Daniels out a little bit. And then Malik Neighbors, pretty much the only good target in the Giants offense now that Saquon's gone, Darren Waller's retired. So that matched with the talent he has, I think he could pop off this year and going forward.
Yeah, absolutely. AJ Brown, like you said, that whole Eagles offense kind of sputtered at the end of last year. I think they, or at least the passing offense wise specifically. And like you said, they added Saquon over. I don't know if you mentioned it. You said he left the Giants. I don't know if you mentioned him joining the Eagles, but he did join the Eagles. So they might have a few more run attempts. Maybe that gives AJ Brown less volume, but still an amazing talent. Still someone, I believe he's under 20 years old. He should still be 27, if I'm not mistaken. So still got some years with him. He looks like a guy that'll be around for a while too. Laporta great. Daniels and Neighbors, I think you said everything that needs to be said about them. Daniels obviously with the rushing side too. It's something that will help continue his value, But going on to the next tier, our last tier here. Here we actually went with our pick. We went an early first round for next year for the 2025 season. Just a valuable asset to have. And these first round picks, they're only going to go up in value. A lot of these players, if they get hurt, if they don't underperform, if they overperform, there's a lot of volatility. The early first round picks that you kind of know are on a team that are going to, not be great this year. They're only going to go up and up and up in value until the day of the draft, and then that's when they'll peak out in value. Then after that, we had Drake London, an improving guy with a lot of talent. Again, something that we want to see him expand on. They got new play callers over there. They got a new quarterback in Kirk, so it should. Kirk always holds a good passing offense, so if he can bounce back from his injury, he'll be looking even better. And then we went Chris Olave, one of the worst starting quarterbacks in the league at this point that he's playing for, in my opinion, at least. But still an amazing talent. He's been relatively quarterback proof. He's still been fantasy relevant. So If they can get something figured out, if that connection can get better, then he'll go forward. And then we ended it off with Purdy and Hill. Just another quarterback. Purdy, he's a quarterback in a great offense. Tyreek Hill mentioned retiring, mentioned wanting an extension, so we don't really know what's going on with him, but he did almost have 2,000 yards last season. Definitely, if you're a contender, a guy to try to go get.
Yeah, absolutely. And back to London real quick. I saw a graphic where Kirk Cousins, the past 5 seasons, his lowest wide receiver 1 in fantasy was wide receiver 24, and besides that 1 year, everyone else was top 11 in fantasy as a fantasy wide receiver in PPR. In 1 year, he had, I think it was Stephon Diggs and Adam Thielen. They were wide receiver 7 and wide receiver 10, if I'm not mistaken. So just like he is definitely able to secure the wide receiver position, get them into that top realm of fantasy. And same with Olave. Both of these guys they need the targets. They need the good targets. They have all the talent, and we kind of group these guys together because they're very similar in that way, but they just haven't shown it too much yet. And then Purdy, Hill, both guys that you can use on a contender this year. Purdy's obviously younger. He's shown a lot. Very consistent guy that you want when you're chasing the chip. You don't want him to flame out during the playoffs. And he's definitely a 2-touchdown a game type of guy, so you know what you're getting out of him. But yeah, I think that's our last tier of guys here. You got anything else to add?
No, yeah, good grouping of guys. We could obviously go as deep as we wanted to with this. We didn't want the video to be 8 hours long, so we kind of cut it off with 31, 32 players here. So a lot of great talent. I'm just so excited for the season. Hard Knocks Giants dropped yesterday. That was really cool to watch. But yeah, no, I'm just excited for the season. I say that every video, but because it's true.
Yes, sir. Getting close now.
Yep, but that's all we got. Again, don't forget to like and subscribe. Also, we're doing roster reviews. Send us yours. We want to review some rosters. We want to do a couple videos of that. So if you have a Dynasty roster, send it over. We'll review it. But other than that, it's been Big Time Fantasy Football. Zach and Nick, thank you guys for tuning in.
Thanks for watching, guys.